here today.
And why the millennial generation is starting to give up because they can't afford to get a good job or own a house.
8 million Venezuelans voting for this assembly, saying it's actually less than 3.
It is. And people are going to start rioting in the streets.
Was reported to have asked Putin for military support that would help him stay in power.
We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
And they ignore him, and 8 more years goes by till Bernie himself finally admits to his sons, hey, I've been running a Ponzi scheme.
Does its dominance mean it can use the alliance for its own ends?
Since 1981, bond yields, also known as coupon rates, have just gone down and down and down.
Federal Reserve note will be your biggest financial liability.
RTD Live Talk. It's Wednesday night, the 9th day of the month of January. We are live. Looking forward to finding out what's on your mind, but more importantly, tonight's subject is going to be those that are, those that are impacted by this government shutdown. Ideally, the 800,000 federal workers that are probably right now in a pinch. And so I got an article I want to share with you guys that came across my desk this morning. And so I want to get your thoughts on the whole federal workers government strike. And more importantly, if we have anybody out there in the audience that knows anyone directly or might be a federal employee themselves that's being impacted by this third week or 19 days of a government shutdown, partial shutdown rather, want to talk to you guys and find out how you guys are making it through, as well as just brainstorm, strategize, and whatnot on how to make it through these tough times for those that are being infected by or impacted by that rather. So as always, my name is Mike, the host of RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. And as always, welcome to the show. More importantly, if we have any new viewers, feel free to let me know where you're watching from. I want to make sure I welcome you into the RTD community via chat, or if you're bold enough, feel free to call in 1-833-LIVE-RTD. We'd love to hear your voice directly and find out what's happening in your world. And so as always, take a minute, let more people join us, but also I want to share an article with you and get your thoughts on, how bad is this crisis in regards to a lot of people not being able to receive pay to sustain their livelihoods, and some of the things that this article is going to point out about recommendations on what people should do, which, if you're on the other side of the question that's going to be posed, I'm sure it would be something favorable that you would be willing to accept yourself. But that being the case, welcome. So we got Spirit, we got Hernan, we got Professor Shane, student of life. How you guys doing, man? And so it says, without the EBT cards, the grocery stores will fail. Yeah, and that's a whole nother topic right there, but we might as well touch on that because that's another line of service that will be impacted by government shutdown, hence the fact that a lot of grocery stores, especially in the inner city community and whatnot, are highly subsidized by government funding in the form of those EBT cards that are swiped once a month or however long or whatever the process is for getting that stuff done. But then also just the ripple effect of things that's going to begin taking place, especially if so this article here mentions about rent. We got car notes. We got all types of other financed items or whatnot that may not be serviced this month and next month. And then we're going to have the defaults off of that. And so we know that Pelosi and Schumer were talking about some of the consequences of people not being able to get their pay or whatnot. So we're going to cover that a little bit. So appreciate you guys for tuning in and joining me this evening. So let's find out what's going on. It says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, that's different. But right now I'm going to write into this article because I think it's very telling of what's underway and what's to occur rather. And so it says unpaid federal workers owe more than $400 million in mortgage and rent payments this month. And so we're just talking about this month. It's only been, a couple days into this current month, but yet it's due by the end of this month. It says the federal government has suggested that federal employees barter with landlords if they can't pay their rent. So put yourself in the position of a landlord. How sympathetic will you feel towards paying your bills or receiving funds to pay your own bills for your tenant's situation. But thumb through this briefly, as always, until we get more people in the chat or people call in. I'm going to go, or actually we got a call. So let me find out what's going on with this call here, and then we get into this article. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, wait, Mike, let me turn it down. How you doing? Sorry, I was just listening to you.
Not a problem.
So how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good.
And let me type hello, everyone in the chat room. Okay, I spelled it wrong.
All right, what's your name?
This is what's going down.
All right, before we get any further, what's your name and where you calling from?
Oh, this is Gerald. I'm calling you from Canada, man. How you doing?
From Canada. All right, my friend. Good to hear your voice, buddy. What's on your mind this night?
Okay, what's on my mind? I'm looking at your show, Government Shutdown Will Ruin Federal Workers, and you talking about the unpaid federal workers, so I'm sort of behind.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Barry Sorento's, which name really, I guess his fake name is Barack Obama.
Okay.
Remember when he was in office?
Mm-hmm.
Who did he bail out? He bailed out Annie Mae, Fannie Mae, Jessie Mae, Bobby Mae. He bailed out all these rich people.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget to put into this board that America has been bankrupt since 1933. All right?
Yeah.
Put that in the blender.
Yeah.
Put this in the blender too.
Okay.
IRC, Federal Reserve Act, Title 12, Section 411. There is no money. Mike, United States is in other words, their whole Ponzi scheme is up. I catch up with your shows when you said the other day, you said that there's no Social Security, there's no nothing, it's all done. It's all a hot mess.
Yeah.
Can you only imagine if Hillary Clinton was in there, the mess that would have been even more messed up? I don't see this Western culture coming out of this fiasco. As George, as Peter, as Schiff said, his name is George Bush. What he gave to people, he said, order out of chaos.
Yeah.
He said, order. I think they have basically lost, and I think that we're fortunate to see it go down, which to me, I think it's a nightmare. And I just don't see them printing any more money. I don't see them. I just can't see them coming back from all the corruption. Now, I'm going to say this, and I want you to understand this because I talked to a guy that was from Russia. He just put in a window in the condo I live in, you know. He told me something. I asked him about Putin, and I wanted the right answer. He said Putin is not a bad guy. According to the media, that our media, Putin was a bad guy.
Yeah.
He said, but nobody knows this. When Putin came into power, now listen to this, Mike. He said Putin gave the so-called Jews, let's call them what it is, he gave them an ultimatum. You either clean up your act and the money and the economics that you stole from the people. You either turn around and fix this or put this back in, or your only option is prison and jail.
Yeah.
He said Russia is doing good. I put that on the table to say if anybody's listening in power, this is the only way to get out of it, because they're going to make sure that Trump does not come out with what you stated about this child trafficking, which was backed by, I turned my friends onto your show, I got plenty calls. One of my friends was over in China in the U.S. military when he was 17 years old. He said he recognizes the tattoos from what he seen back in the 70s. Those workers, those female workers, they're in Georgia right now. He said everything that Trump said when he said it's been going on for centuries, he confirmed it and said, Gerald, he ain't lying. He said he is not lying. So what I don't understand, and let me apologize, I'm going to thumb you up right now. What I can't understand is why your show is not overwhelmed with people listening. And one of my friends backdoored me and told me to tell you, because people cannot handle the truth. I am not a fan of lies, or the people who don't recognize this. This is what this R. Kelly thing is about. It is called a distraction.
Yeah.
They want to distract you away from what's really going on so you can tie yourself up in this BS. I will keep your show clean as I can.
Yeah, appreciate it.
BS.
Very true, man.
Very
true.
I'm hurt, but hey, it is what it is. You keep up the good work. I'm definitely going to get one of your T-shirts.
All right, sounds good.
I'll talk to you later.
I appreciate
Peace to everybody, all right?
All right, have a good night, babe. Thanks.
All right, later.
All right, yep. Yeah, man. That's real talk, people. That's real talk. And so, Gerald, one of the things you mentioned that I'm going to throw out a little counter argument is that you said that you can't see the governments or the central banks printing more currency or printing more money. And I think of the complete opposite. I believe we haven't even begun to see the amount of debt monetization that will be coming, just because the powers that be, the infrastructure that's been in place for the past 100+ years of the Federal Reserve being around, they're not going to give it up to a president that's a year and a half, almost 2 years into 2 years into office, whether he's against them or for them or whatever he is in his heart, he knows and God knows, but they're not going to give up 100+ years or more, hundreds of years, as far as owning the money supply of nations to a guy who's causing problems over a wall. So I think in order to keep this thing up, the only thing they can do is print and monetize. And I think the worst is yet to come in regards to what they're going to have to bring into existence to keep things somewhat at float, or to try to keep the illusion alive that things are going well still, because that whole economic expansion, that narrative can't go on for much longer when we're entering a new year and we're reaching record levels of debt and the whole deficit that's 1 trillion in the middle of good times. So imagine when things aren't good, and they got to double that deficit, and that's going to be very problematic. And then I need to my next thought on what I do expect to happen anytime soon is the whole downgrading of our government debt around the world. And so, how we got the credit agencies or whatnot that ranks, government status or their bond health. And so, of course, we got Moody's and who else? Experian and whoever else, the big players. And, of course, the United States government, debt is still, AAA, grade A type debt or something of that nature. Whereas in other countries around us, as their economies crumble, they get downgraded bit by bit. But apart from the fact that the companies that grade us are a part of this whole scheme, they're going to keep that narrative of we're in good faith and credit, until whenever. But most people don't realize or know that, I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago, I reported on the fact that China has come up with their own grading process in reference to us to actually grade according to, I guess, more real financial indicators that really shows the health of our country. And I don't really know what their current status is for us, but this government shutdown will not help. So hence the idea that there's going to be a downgrade based upon our creditors this year. And then I posted something on the community page and the YouTube that hence the word de-dollarization coming more into play this year as we're downgraded and we monetize more and all the things that come along with that. So just something to keep in mind as that stuff rolls back around. So with that being the case, I wanted to get back into the article. Gerald, appreciate you calling. And so the article that I was talking about in tonight's subject matter is the whole government shutdown and the impact, or how I put is going to ruin federal workers. And so if we have any viewers out there right now that know or have family friends that are government employees and they're experiencing this shutdown, chime in, let me know their thoughts. Let me know if you're one of them, call in, or let me know in the chat, what's your thought process like, or is it something you're concerned about? Because during today's, or it was yesterday's, or today's a little news press conference thing from the Oval Office again. So President signed $430 billion anti-human trafficking legislation. And so I'm going to actually pull that up. And so I'm going to break down that and where the funds go to, because as always, I question all the entities that receive these funds and actually what they're going to do with them. And so, they're government agencies, but yet we all know based upon history that all the funds is allocated typically don't really go all the way to what they're supposed to. So with that being the case, I imagine that, and so what's it called? Anti-human trafficking legislation 2019. Okay. And so we're going to dive through that as well. Get your thoughts on that. But back to this main article here. And so one of the things it says, federal employees are encouraged to ask their landlords to barter with them. And so scroll through here a little bit. It says, although unpaid federal workers, including roughly 380,000 furloughed employees and 420 people working without pay, owe around $438 million in mortgage and rent payments in January, according to a report. That breaks down to $189 million monthly in rent payments and $249 in mortgage payments. So here's the thing right here. So here we have the idea that people may not be able to make their mortgage or rent this month. And so if you're a landlord, talk to me if you're a landlord or if you might be a landlord or have some tenants that are government employees. What are your thoughts? I mean, it depends on where you at financially. Are you going to be lenient and understanding, or does it depend on what side of the aisle you vote for, or what? I'm curious to find out your thoughts. So let me know in the chat, because one of the things where, if I'm a landlord, I have bills to pay, I'm dependent upon monthly receiving something from you, I can probably let you slide a month. I hope that I've been somewhat of a good financial steward on my part to where I can afford to, go a month, maybe two, but that's asking a lot, especially you're, putting people in tight positions out here. And that's just one chain of events that can unfold to cause more problems. And so scroll down a little bit more. What else is in here? It says United Department of Agriculture has said that banks likely won't be able to close the loans it normally insures and rental assistance programs run by USDA and the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So got another call. Let's find out what's going on. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello? Looks like I missed your call. Feel free to call back and we'll get you on here. So yeah, I'm looking for anybody out here who knows or directly impacted by this whole government situation. I would love to hear your voice this evening, or let me know in the chat, either one. So let me get to the chat and find out what's the conversation like tonight. So we have an article here. Okay. Jeff, right on time as always. Sent us a great article. It says, prospective home buyers derailed by the government shutdown. It says a stalemate in Washington. Whoa. Gets me every time. Shoot. All right, we're about to get this going. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, Tony from Oakland.
Tony, how you doing, my friend? What's on your mind this
evening?
My
man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Talk to me about the government shutdown. You know anybody impacted by it?
I am.
Okay. Shine some light on this for us, if you don't mind. So
I own rental property back in the Midwest, and I've got a tenant now who actually works for Department of Homeland Security. Mm-hmm. One of the ones that they're forcing to work. Yeah. And he just notified me today that he wouldn't be able to make next month's rent payment. Mm. And now Trump messing with my money.
Yeah, that's the domino effect I mentioned earlier of the chain of events that will unfold. And so it's unfortunate that not only are we supposed to be in an illusional economic recovery, but yet we know that majority of the population don't really have any extra funds sitting around. So I'm thinking here we have don't know your tenant situation, but government employee, the fact that he can't make payment is like, okay, but what about, anything saved up? What about your emergency fund and stuff like that, to where, in planning for a rainy day, you're supposed to have something sitting on the side or access to something to take care of yourself in case there's an event such as this. But that goes to show that a lot of people may not be as prepared as they think they may be.
Right. And, I tend to screen my tenants pretty good. Mm-hmm. And I haven't had a problem. Guy pays early. Mm-hmm. And pays what he's supposed to pay. Never had a problem. Been in there 3 years. Yeah. And he's pretty high up in the Department of Homeland Security. Mm. And he was like, man, I'll pay you when I get it. And he even told them, he's like, I can do this for 1 month, but when you're talking about making me work 2-3 months, mm-hmm. I'm not going to do that. I'll just go look for another job. Yeah. And he can do that. Yeah. But, and I said, what about the other people? You're well off and able to do some things. And, mm-hmm. He's like, I'm on the higher paid grade on the Department of Homeland, but there's some on the lesser paid grade that can't even make this month's payment and won't make next month's payment, and they just keep falling behind. And he said that he looks for Trump to do something within the next couple of weeks, because if people go too much longer, then you start getting people walk out on the job.
Yeah. Now, so share with me your opinion based upon that information there. Now, from your standpoint, you're one person removed away from the impact of this shutdown. Say if it is a longer period of time for this particular gentleman here, then as a landlord, what are your thought processes? Like, okay, let me show this guy mercy, or I gotta do me, or so share with me from the landlord standpoint. If this thing prolongs a little bit longer, are you in a tight situation where you're going to be forced to make some decisions yourself?
No, I'm not. Okay, I mean,
that's good.
I'm in a pretty good position where I'm at.
Okay.
But that ain't gonna say I got everything I need. I could let him go as long as he wanted.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, it's like it's 6 months down the line. Now, am I gonna let you live there for rent free? No.
Yeah.
Even though I could.
Yeah. Now, I wonder, like on the barter side of things, like that article I just mentioned a minute ago mentioned that time to connect with your landlord and try to barter, or one of them things where, say, if he's a high skilled individual, to do some actual work for you or something of that nature. I think a lot of people, if this thing goes on for a long period of time, might have to resort to those type of options. What do you think?
We're going to get back to that. If that's all they can do is barter and work their rent off, that's what we're going to have to do.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's the position we're in. But I texted you a minute ago on a bill that Trump's trying to get passed. It was introduced last year, and it's HR 3775. It's an immigration bill.
Let me put that up here. Let me see Treasury. I got a couple things here. So you texted in the chat?
Yeah, I did.
All right, let me go back and try to find it. Tony.
It's 651. I don't know if you can go back with numbers.
651 is 951 for me, ish. 951. Tony. Okay, it says I got one from Donovan. Congress, HR. Yep. Okay, let me see. So I'm gonna click on this, highlight it, boom, pull it up. Congress, HR 37715. Let's look into this. Immigration. Oops, it's a dead page. Looks like somebody removed it already. All info. I'm getting an error as if I'm not supposed to be reading this on the air.
Oh man, you mean they removed that already?
It's something. No, a couple of two links were bad, but now I got some links here, but it's not much detail. But it says Immigration in the National Interest Act of 2017. It says refer to the Subcommittee of Immigration, Border. Yeah, I can't go any further to find out the details.
Oh man! Well, let me hit you to what that one was about. I didn't get all the way through it. I didn't know that Google would remove it off the site once people started to get aware of it.
Could be some bad links.
It's about an immigration, and instead of going through a H-1B visa, they're going through a credit score. In order, like, if you're here and you graduated college, you get 1 point for this, 1 point for that, 1 point for something else. And the main thing that got me was there's global, that 50,000 immigrants can come into the United States just as a seeking asylum. And then everybody else would have to go on a scoring system in order to get in.
A scoring system. So that scoring system, you mentioned scoring, that sounds like something happening out in communist China right now as we speak. So that sounds like it's a well thought out plan that that's coming together on both sides of the planet. It looks like
it's coming globally. It said when I read it, it was like it was global.
Wow. Okay, so that's one of the things, once again, apart from you having dug a little deeper, we wouldn't have known that a credit score type of system, that starts off with immigration will eventually become mainstay here in the mainland for citizens. And then now that we're talking about that, think about the whole, the new ID chip card coming out.
Right.
So you link that ID chip card and you link that score together, because I'm assuming that it's going to be, you can scan it or whatever. It's going to be attached to some type of documentation or score. So, you know,
right.
That sounds like we own something, my friend.
The other thing that I did see in there that if you were here legally
Mm-hmm.
and you wanted to bring somebody here illegally,
Mm-hmm.
you would have to you could bring them in, but you would have to afford their health care. You would have to basically take care of them, and the government wouldn't do that.
Well, which that doesn't sound like it's something a lot of people will be able to actually do, as far as affording, you know, the care and the health care, all the other expenditures for somebody else. So, not sure how that would work, but it'd probably fall back on the government as always. So, yeah,
you know, there's ways around it.
That's it. Yeah, that's usually how it unfolds, man. But hey. But as always,
all
man,
right, brother,
appreciate you. Appreciate you for calling and shining some light on our situation for us, man. Thank you.
Oh, no worries, man.
All right. Best of luck with you and your guy as well.
Same to you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, man. That's what it is. That's what it is. So, people, as always, tonight we're talking about the government shutdown and how it's going to ruin federal workers, or, you know, or just impact them in general, because it doesn't just stop with, you know, the employees of the government not receiving their compensation for this month, or for the last 3 weeks rather. You know, it's going to be the domino effects, or as I think somebody mentioned last night's stream or 2 nights ago, the unintended consequences of these actions will have ripple effects. And so we got landlords going to be impacted. We got grocery stores in the inner city that's going to be relied upon. Those EBT card shoppers every beginning of the month not shopping there. And so I'm sure there's a couple other things out there. So if anybody can think of any other dominoes that might fall off of this government shutdown, from paychecks not being received as that first domino, feel free to let me know in the chat. And so I want to highlight as much as I can this event that's happening right here. So as always, give me a call. Let's talk some more. Got a couple people in the chat here. Okay, so let me get to this article. Get back to this article here that Mr. Jeff sent us. It says the prospective home buyers derailed by the government shutdown. It says the stalemate in Washington, one of the longest in history, is throwing a wrench in some people's plans to buy houses. Okay, so yeah, that's not necessary. That's another domino. The fact that people who are probably in the process or may have a sale pending or something, have some income issues. Yeah, in the real estate market, for those that have been paying attention, isn't really doing all that well right now. I've seen a lot of my other colleagues in the alternative media space talking about the housing bubble that's bursting all over the world. And so we have the major metropolitan cities like New York, I know San Francisco, I think Chicago. They're all, you know, the pricing of housing is dropping because no one's buying into the overinflated pricing of acquiring a piece of property that is already well overvalued. It says so far nearly 40,000 mortgages could be caught up in the shutdown, according to online real estate. 40,000 mortgages. It says more than 20% of realtors said they had either a current or prospective client impacted by the shutdown. 20%. And so, yeah, this is just the beginning, people. These are all dominoes that will come down to hurt a lot of people. So, yeah, man, Jeff, appreciate you sending that article, as always. As always. Let's keep this thing rolling. What else we got here? Let me get caught up in the chat. We got an article here from Nestor. Let me pull this up. Legal tender status. Oh, man, this is a good one. And so this is, if you scroll down to the very bottom of this one, I like this one. Let me see. This is something that I always like to bring out when it talks about, here we go. This is my favorite line right here, which a lot of people, apart from, you know, Nestor who sent this, are probably actually aware of the fine print. This from the Treasury, you know, which is supposed to be the financial steward of our country's money supply. But it says right here, it says Federal Reserve notes are not redeemable in gold, silver, or any commodity, and receiving no backing by anything. This has been the case since 1933. It says the notes have no value. Listen to me repeat that. The notes have no value for themselves. But watch this. But for what they will buy. So here is the underlying. This is how you end the equation. This is how you just put all things to rest. The Federal Reserve note has no value of itself except for what you can purchase with it, in a nutshell. It says in another sense, Because they are legal tender, Federal Reserve notes are backed by all the goods and services in the economy. So, wow, okay, man, this is one of, man, whew. Nestor, appreciate you for sending this in. And so think about this. If the Federal Reserve note is not worth anything other than what you can actually acquire for it, and so it's backed by all goods and services in the economy. So let's just go backwards with that. You got goods and services in the economy, which are the real, tangible, or energy and time of people's talents and skills put into the workforce to create products and services that are true, real forms of energy and wealth. But then you have an intermediary, in the form of a note, and we all know what notes are: car notes, house notes, mortgage notes, whatever. Note, a claim on something. A note is a debt-bearing instrument, and so you have a mediary of a debt-bearing instrument, and you have you, the people, us, the people, the government, whatever. So in between us and the things we need is a debt-bearing instrument that has no value in and of itself, and it's only value according to what you believe it's worth and what you can actually buy in the form of goods and services and time and energy and everything else. So man, this is, you know, that sums up the foundational pieces of what it means to rethink the dollar, in my opinion. Nestor, appreciate you sending that, my friend. That was something I've been wanting to, you know, put out there for a while. Or I actually have that in my little ebook for those that might not have had a chance to get it. But anyway, let's keep this party going, as always. Scroll down some more. What else we got here? How can anybody hate on a decent, real conversation? So what's going on in the chat here? We got some unwilling participants. And by the way, Jerome Lovato, I appreciate you for that love offering of $1. I appreciate that, my friend. Forgot to give you a shout out publicly. Thank you for the love. And so what else we got here? Hernan got a video for us. Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff is a cool guy. I've reached out to him. Haven't heard from him, but I'm going to keep trying. I'm sure I'll get him on here one of these days, because I'd be more than willing to bet that he's come across some people that have mentioned rethinking the dollar to him, because he talks about it all the time. Okay, so questions, concerns, feel free to call in. I might have missed some calls in the chat, but just give me a shout and we will keep this party going. It says, it is actually really only worth the value of the paper it is printed on. Oh, and the value of the secret ink also. Yeah, but the ink is worth more than the paper, technically, even though the paper, you know, when you go to one of those websites and it breaks down the actual cost to bring a note into existence, a note is, I think, like, you know, to print them in bulk, the way they're doing it, I think it's like maybe 5 cents or 10 cents or 2 cents a note or something of that nature. And the ink, you know, the security ink and all that stuff like that, you know, by the gallons and stuff like that, probably costs more than the cotton fiber of the paper. So that's just my 2 cents. But we got a call. Let's find out what's going on. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello? Going once? Going twice? Anybody there? Hello? Let me make sure everything is good on my end. But I'm going to let it go. Try to give me a call back and we'll get you on here. I believe everything is working on my end. So let me go to my emergency measures just in case. So yeah, we can do this. So feel free to give me a call back and I'll get you on here. Jeff got another article, as always, on time. Let's find out what's going on with this one. Ooh, this is a good one. It says, teacher strike delayed in second largest U.S. school district. Yeah, man. So here we have, where'd it go? So here we have a situation where it's about to become more of a mainstream news story. So here it says, United Teachers Los Angeles previously said its 35,000 members would walk off the job Thursday, tomorrow, for the first time in 30 years if a deal wasn't reached on higher pay and smaller class sizes. All right, so let's dissect this. We have 35,000 members that want higher pay and smaller class sizes. And so I'm not sure, it doesn't really take a genius to come to the realization that what are you going to do with those kids? How are you going to make the class sizes smaller? Where are the funds going to come from? Especially in California, they strap for cash. They taxing people, all the wealthy people leaving. Hold that thought. We're going to get back to that. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
TJ from Kansas City.
TJ from Kansas City. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind this evening?
We were talking about the shutdown affecting other people.
Mm-hmm.
How about self-employed people?
Okay, so that's another domino. That's another angle. Okay, so go ahead, shine some light on that one. Go ahead.
Like my wife, she's a cosmetologist, hairstylist.
Okay.
And she have had multiple cancellations. So that is affecting our wallet.
Yeah.
Because people are canceling, and they are canceling like the day of. So she's really not filling those slots from our clients.
Yeah.
And not only that, I have a friend that's in business too. They're having people to cancel on him the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the self-employed entrepreneurs definitely, because entrepreneurs deliver their services directly into the market, and so that's definitely another domino that will be heavily impacted in the days ahead. Yeah, that's a good one, man.
Yeah. Well, just keep up the good work, man. Whenever you want some barbecue, I'll send you some more barbecue. But keep up the good work.
Sounds good, my friend. I appreciate that offer. I'm gonna hold you to that one.
All right.
All right. Have a good night. Yeah. Yeah, man. That's good talk. Real stuff there, man. So we have entrepreneurs, small businesses as well that deal directly with the client base are going to feel a little bit of a pinch as well. So yeah, man, that is real. So let me get back to this article in regards to the 35,000 teachers wanting higher pay, smaller class sizes. And so I'm all about getting or paying true fair market value for goods and services, period. And so here's my thing in reference to the teachers demanding more money. The funds, could definitely be there, but yet they don't realize the ripple effects of demanding more now, which is going to take away from what they're also expecting to receive in the future. Because if the school board, state, or whoever got to dip into their funding budget to meet these demands, which they're going to have to do it, because if you got 35,000 people talking about walking out, that's probably the entire city of Los Angeles, all schools, elementary all the way to high school, even some private community colleges, teachers are on a strike, kids not getting educated, they're not really learning much anyway, but the fact that they need somewhere to go for 8 hours a day looks like. So here we have the idea of teachers demanding what they feel they're worth based upon the economy around them squeezing down on them. So they're feeling the side effects of the cost of going up in LA especially, and they're not seeing it in their paycheck. Hence the idea of them blaming the state, blaming whoever else, blaming the government. In actuality, the true reason for our economic hardships and the destruction of the household, the American household especially, to where there's a need for, in most cases, 2 incomes, if not pretty soon will be third, guys, to put your kids to work, is the whole central banking model. The idea of fractional reserve lending through the commercial banks, which expands the money supply, which causes all prices and goods and services to go up to equal, as it said in that treasury.gov, that all those notes are backed by the goods and services already in existence. And so you got all those goods and services in existence that don't change, but what changes? The money supply. So all that stuff has to keep balance. You know what I'm saying? So if the teachers knew that it was they should be marching on the Federal Reserve steps to say, hey, enough's enough. This is it. We're not having no more. Get rid of this system and let's get back to something more stable. And so one of the mandates of price stability is, if people knew what price stability really meant. Price stability, according to what we're told, is 2% inflation. That means they're devaluing your currency 2% a year, which is the reason why things can get tough and tight. But I'm gonna leave it at that. Anyway, so once again, they're gonna get an increase in their wages. They're not gonna get smaller class sizes because I'm not sure where they're gonna put the kids. But the increase they're going to get right now in the next couple of months will decrease what they're going to receive on the back end when they don't get that pension. And if you haven't checked that video I did earlier about pensions, how you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't eat good now and expect to eat good for the rest of your life off a pot of funds that ain't really there. But I'm going to leave it alone. I want to acknowledge this love offering here from VZE4PC6C2. Says, you keep on doing this kind of work, we'll end up in the Constitution running America again soon. Keep it up. Appreciate that, my friend. Thank you. Thank you for support. It says, the president says a lot, and if that pay comes 1 year later, they're already homeless. Yeah, I have a little tent I bought for preps. Smart Keys, Villager, no. It says, Venezuela hit in hyperinflation, and they have a central bank and were once the richest country in South America, so it could happen in the USA. Hand in the bag. I agree with you 101%. It says, bullets, beans, batteries. Yep, it's true. Stock market crash. Yeah, man. So as always, people, feel free to call in, man. We got a couple more minutes on here. And so the goal is, for those that might be tuning in late, if you're just getting here and you're missing some of the earlier back and forth, the whole conversation this evening is about the government shutdown and how it's ruining or impacting not only federal workers, come to find out, but then the ripple effect of one person not getting a check, how it plays into entrepreneurs, landlords. We got grocery stores. We got, all those dominoes that are all based upon the cyclical nature of a paycheck that's not being received right now. And if you guys know anybody or are directly impacted and want to shine some light on your circumstance or whatnot, feel free to do so in the chat over here or that number above my head. Either one, whatever works best for you, I'm here. So let's find out what's happening in the chat. Anything else happening over here? No, it says stock up food. Okay, Jeff. Here comes Jeff with another one. Let's see what this one is about. Ooh, this is a good one. This is a good one. It says a government shutdown spotlights a bigger issue. 78% of U.S. workers live paycheck to paycheck. That is real talk. So yeah, man. So more insight. It says President Trump said Friday for the one on the wall, 800 federal workers. What else we got down here? It says a report. It says nearly 80% of American workers say they are living paycheck to paycheck, according to 2017. It says, got some quotes here. It says, I'm not on strike. I was furloughed against my will. I'm against spending taxpayer money on a wall. I am not on strike demanding a wall. I would very much like to go back to work. So we got some quotes directly from the streets. I'm glad you sent this one. It says, I want to go back to work. I don't want a wall. I'm the sole income supporter for my family. Mortgage company won't work with me. May lose my home. And the thought of having to stand in line for food is embarrassing. Shutdown stories. It says, if you are currently working without a pay during the shutdown or a furlough and willing to share, please comment and link up. Yep. So yeah, so let me go ahead and actually get some stories directly from the streets. Let me go to where people are definitely going to post them at. And so this is another little article here we can touch in a second. But let's go to the streets a little bit. Well, actually, let me find out how to. Yeah, let me figure this out. Let me figure this out here. Let me get rid of this. There we go. Bam. Shutdown stories. All right, so let me find out how this works. So we're going to go straight to Twitter real quick and just grab a couple stories because these are people who are obviously sharing some heartfelt moments here. Scroll down a little bit more. They got an article that says 100. Okay, there's like a good article. It says union says TSA workers can't afford to man checkpoints without a paycheck. So, here we have TSA workers. And so imagine, having to catch a flight or something, you're going and TSA workers are on strike or there's, not enough staff there. And I'm sure everyone's been to the airport where the line is extremely long because they got two of those little body scanner things open when it's 100 people waiting in line and your flight leaves in like 10 minutes. So yeah, that's real talk. Another caller. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, my name's Anthony, calling from Columbia, South Carolina.
Anthony from Columbia, South Carolina. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind this evening?
Hey, well, first off, man, really appreciate you doing what you do.
Thank you, sir.
Great job.
Appreciate you. What's on your mind?
All right, but actually, I guess my question would be just for people in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
How long do you think, if this government shutdown continues, I'm not sure how long the last one lasted, but if you have benefits for food stamps, but if that starts to diminish and they're not able to offer that to the general public, or even if they just cut it back a certain percentage, what effect would that have with just the general population? I think the bread and circus has been working so far, but when you take food off of people's table, they tend to start paying attention to things just a little closer,
Yeah. Okay. So, positioning it that way lets me know that could be another domino of this could be that great awakening that we've all been waiting for, especially in the alternative media realm, of just getting people to really now probably be a little bit more open and receptive towards information from family and friends on what's happening truly behind the scenes. So this wall could be, in regards to waking a lot of people up, a blessing in disguise if it's used correctly. Like, what is it? Ronnie Emanuel said, never let a good crisis go to waste.
That's right.
And so I think in regards to trying to enlighten more people, definitely this might be a great time to share information with those, as well as for those that might be able to supply a little aid or mercy for those that are landlords or whatnot. But as far as EBT cards, definitely once people are not able to feed their family, we all know based upon what's happened in the past and what happens outside this country is you have parents that have to go out and do whatever they have to do to get to put food on the table. So another domino would be crime, theft, robberies, burglary. You name it. So crime can be something we experience right. I'm sure it's happening now already, but come February, if the thing is prolonged a little bit, could be a real issue. So safety, yeah.
I mean, and not to mention, I'm not certain how long or if it's going to occur. Just tax returns, just us getting the money that was stolen from us, getting a portion of it back. A lot of people depend on that.
Yeah, that is true. That's very true, and that's very true, man. Yeah, that's true. So once again, depending on whether or not both parties can come to an agreement, which I like I mentioned last night, I think it's more than that. And so we're right now in the middle of a political chess match between the right and the left, or the establishment and anti-establishment, whatever we want to give it. And in the middle, the pawns are the American people. And they're the ones that are on the front line, and they're the ones that are subject to being casualties of a game that they don't even know they even playing, and that's the sad part about it. That we're all pawns in the front row being impacted directly by what's happening around us. So, man, it's real talk. This is what it is, man. But appreciate you calling, boss.
Hey, anytime.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
All right. Yeah, man. We are on the front line, so that the American public is on the front line of a political chess match that, and in my opinion, I'm going to give it to you straight, I don't think there's going to be a winner. Whatever that means. I don't think that's going to be a winner. So we got another call here. This might be the last call of the evening. And then I want to make sure I acknowledge that gift from someone just recently. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is CJ calling from Maryland. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good, CJ. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind this evening?
Doing all right, man. I just want to say I'm a federal government employee in the D.C. area. And, I think somebody kind of mentioned earlier, a lot of the eateries, the delis and cafes, they're being affected by this as well. And, food trucks. So like you said, it's an all-around thing that's happening to, all these. And, I just like to point out, too, man, it's kind of interesting how, they have these shutdowns. I've been through quite a few, actually. Seems like they're becoming commonplace. And actually, I'm not affected in this one.
Yeah.
Ironically, first time ever.
Yeah. Congratulations. Sorry.
But, it's interesting that the politicians and president, they're still receiving their salary. So
yeah,
that kind of should let you know a lot about what's going on ultimately.
Yeah, very true. Now, have you noticed how we had a a live stream from the Oval Office last night, and then we had a follow-up meeting between Democrat, Republican, House Speaker, Senate, whatever, and nothing new has come out about any real solutions other than one guy says I need $5.7 billion to build this wall because of ABCD, and then the other party saying there's other ways of going about doing this, but a wall won't solve our problems. But in the meantime, government is shut down, and these consequences are about to become real life for a lot of people. And the wall won't stop our problems at all. Like it'll prevent people from getting in, but the wall's not going to be built within a week. It's going to be maybe like a year's job. So in the meantime, what's going to be the next subject matter we're going to have to discuss? So we're in the beginning of the year and having these problems in D.C.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at it. Their agencies, that's a minuscule amount of money, $5 billion that we're squabbling over here.
Yeah.
I mean, or that's what the guise of this whole thing is put under.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of a lot of folks are kind of realizing that there's a lot of games being run on them.
Yeah.
It unfortunately has to come to folks, not getting paid, and you look at what's going on. Across the board. In fact, I heard something about Sears, I guess, is still trying to save themselves. But, I mean, all the signs are pointing towards, they're going to have to reboot this thing some kind of way. I don't know what trick they're going to try to pull out of their bag. But I guess it'll be the same when printing more money. But it's definitely running its course, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And watch this. You mentioned, $5 billion is not a lot of money. But it's a lot of money when you don't have a reserve or a savings account. And the money has to be brought into existence out of thin air or borrowed into existence. And then we're just talking about funding things right now. We're not talking about, we've never talked about trying to pay the interest on what we owe or the principal. We're talking about just keeping things going, and we're already in the negative. So wait till that conversation comes about sometime this year. That's gonna be real talk for real. Yeah, man. But appreciate you calling, my friend. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Have a good evening.
Yep, you too.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, man. So that is last call for this evening, man. I appreciate you guys, showing love on the show, calling in, all the chats and the back and forth in the chat. And so I want to acknowledge James 5346. Thank you for that gift offering, my friend. Says keep up the good work. How long do you think the shutdown will last? Who is to blame? It says we need a wall, but it's not right to pay people. For the people to pay. I'm assuming you said that. James from Texas. All right, James. So to just reply to your questions there. How long do you think the shutdown will last? I believe the shutdown is a diversion tactic from what's really going on. It's the narrative of a healthy economy, and we all know that's not really healthy. Hence the fact that so many people are experiencing difficulties right now, and to where we're to the point of paycheck to paycheck type of lifestyle for a majority of our population. And so I think that the real issue is what's happening with the Federal Reserve and the fact that they have become political. They're trying to raise rates to basically, buy themselves a little wiggle room for the next time they have to address the true market correction, when they have to adjust rates down to negative territory, which will put a threat on cash and the banking sector. So I think that's the real issue behind everything. And so the government shut down the wall and all the stuff we hear on the mainstream news is all diversion tactics. So this wall might be conversation for a couple more weeks because it looks like unless the Democrats decide to stop playing hardball, Trump is not going to budge because, to be truthful, he's not a man of sympathy to where he actually is probably of a compassionate in nature type of guy to where he's a boss mindset. So he's like, okay, I'm going to win this deal. Like he's already in his mind that, we're going to shut this thing down for the rest of the year. Of which that will be the reason why the dollar will become worth nothing because the world can't stand around and wait for us to get our act together. So it's going to be prolonged. And so who's to blame? To me, it's always the people who are in charge of the nation's money supply. That's where everything originates from. So they are the primary reasons, in my opinion. Says we need a wall, but it's not right for the people to pay. I agree 100%. And as I mentioned last night, the best way to pay for a wall is to legalize all so-called illegal substances and let the tax revenue pay for it itself. But we know we can't do that. So that's what it is. But that being the case, people, it's been a blast hanging out with you tonight. Appreciate everybody for showing love tonight on the channel. More importantly, we got about, looks like about 200 or so people watching currently. And we got 67 thumbs ups and 4 thumb down. So I would like, participation wise, for you guys to either go thumbs up or thumbs down. Either way, it doesn't matter. I appreciate the energy spent to hit a button, but show your boys some love on a thumbs up, preferably, so that more people can find out about this live talk, because I really believe that this type of back and forth is what people need. And I'm pretty confident to say if this thing goes on, this shutdown goes on for a lot longer, there's going to be more of our family and friends asking questions and looking for information that can be somewhat helpful. So this is where we will have a chance to impact and serve other people in the form of just educating people on what's happening and give them some and point them in the right directions for answers. So, with all that being the case, appreciate you guys chiming in tonight. Thank you for joining us. As always, stay prayed up, and definitely, let's more importantly pray for our nation, pray for those in leadership right now. This political chess match in D.C. will not end well for the pawns at the front row of this, which are you and I. And so let's pray for each other and pray for our leadership, man, and just let God do what he got to do, because at the end, if you're in Christ, you're going to win. So other than that, be safe, be blessed. See you later.